Thanks very much for staying with us here at Sun News. It's my pleasure to introduce you to a Canadian philanthropist. His name is Yank Barry. He is born in Montreal, but he spends much of his time overseas because he is being dubbed the Canadian Oscar Schindler, and we'll have him explain why and welcome him to the show. Thanks very much for being here, Mr. Barry.
Hi, Adrienne. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to meet you. I want to introduce our audience to you and have you tell them of the incredible work that you are doing and why you are being dubbed the Canadian Oscar Schindler.
Well, it started 19 years ago with my long-term dear friend and partner, Muhammad Ali. We decided to feed 1 billion meals in 20 years, and we're only 10 million short of it. And in the interim, we started dealing with disasters, and we were the first ones in for the tsunami in Indonesia. We were the first ones into Haiti. And I was here in Bulgaria and started seeing that the Syrian refugee problem was really a catastrophe. I did not want to stand on the sidelines after feeling the guilt of what happened to my people in World War II as the world stood still, as 6 million Jews got killed. And this is happening to the Syrians, and history is repeating itself. No one's doing anything. You know, so I could not do anything. I had to do something.
Well, it's incredible work that you're doing. And what I find absolutely fascinating about the stories that we are hearing about you, you just did a story with the Jerusalem Post, but there's no one you won't help. Iranians, Christians, Syrians, Iraqis. There's no religious line that needs help at this point. Talk to me a little bit about your perspective on what's going on right now. I mean, we see the death toll in Syria rising, and now we're also seeing the escalating crisis in Gaza with Israel, of course. You know, you're Jewish-born, and against the Hamas group, the terrorist group Hamas.
I'm really unhappy about that, and I wish I could tell you I saw a solution, Adrienne. I don't see one in the near future. You know, I'm hoping they sit down at the peace table, but I don't see that happening right now. But I really don't get involved politically. You know, I only get involved politically, like here in Bulgaria. We had to convince the Bulgarian government for us to be able to take people out of the camps, get them status so that we can move them on to other countries in Europe, which we've done with over 70 families so far. And you know, that was our key goal here. You know, is free as many as we can, and religion obviously is a factor. What we have found is that the Christians are a big problem that the world does not know about.
Yes,
Adrienne.
Sure.
They're being slaughtered by, and here's something else that's really important. I've interviewed probably 3,000 Syrians now. And out of 3,000, 80% of them have nothing bad to say about Assad. You know, and that's not the news we're getting.
No.
You know, everything they have to say bad about is the Free Syrian Army and the rebel groups. And with the Christians, they're being persecuted by rebel groups. If they don't convert to Islam, they're beheaded. Well, and that's a really sad situation.
It's a very sad situation. Another example I can give you is Yank, is that we just reported that with the Israel-Gaza conflict, Hamas has just murdered 30 of their own Palestinian people. Those stories don't get pushed out. But the work that you're doing is just fantastic, and you should be commended for it, because I don't believe that you know, there's nothing but altruism for you, and that's clear from your history and the philanthropy work you've even done back home. But there are thousands upon thousands of refugees, and the number grows by the day. You've spent nearly $3 million of your own money securing 2 hotels to house them. The demand is not going to end. So how do you make those very tough decisions?
The demand is going to get worse. You know, I never wanted to be part of a selective committee on who comes out and who stays in.
Right.
So what we've done is we're the first NGO in history to have a contract with the State Refugee Agency, and they screen everyone and they give us a list. These people are eligible. We never see the people, and we look at a family of 6, and we will want this family, and it's all based on the amount of space we have in our 2 hotels. I also took over the former Banya camp, which was a refugee camp. We renovated it, and now we have 106 orphans and 14 single mothers living there. And we're also feeding all of the camps in Bulgaria for the next year because they have no food. And the situation with Iraq now, Adrian, is only going to get worse.
Well, we just were, of course, with ISIS, and they are, their numbers are growing. Their terrorist group is growing by the day, and that's a very scary thing. Dealing with the Bulgarian government, why did you choose to establish your refugee camps and the housing and the shelter there? Why was Bulgaria chosen?
I don't know if you're aware of it, but I was very instrumental. From 2006 to 2007, I had 7 meetings with Muammar Gaddafi about the Benghazi 6, which were the 5 Bulgarian nurses and Palestinian doctor that were convicted to death for spreading AIDS, which wasn't true. And I lobbied and lobbied and lobbied, and last time I saw Gaddafi, he released them. It was a combination of the EU work. It wasn't just myself at all. Mrs. Sarkozy was there with me, the former First Lady of France. And I came back here, and I was awarded the Medal of Honor by the Prime Minister, and fell in love with the country. Came back here and moved one of our Vitapro plants, one of my commercial companies here, and started reading about these refugees. And at that point, there were only 500 or 600. And then it became 1,000 and 1,500, and they were starving. And I said, who's doing anything? And they went, the country doesn't have any money. So we started feeding them below the radar. I think we got above the radar when Evander Holyfield came here with me last year, and CNN showed up, and Al Jazeera and all the networks, and realized what we were doing for the refugees. But I don't see an end to this. I see it getting much worse.
I agree with you. I want you to stay with me. We have much more to discuss. We do have to take a short break. My guest is Yank Barry. He is a Canadian philanthropist. He's being dubbed the Canadian Oscar Schindler, saving hundreds of refugees. Stay tuned for more.